Alright everyone, welcome to another episode of Crypto Corner with myself, OJ. Today we're going to look at Bitcoin and Ethereum, and we're going to look at MATIC as well, because yesterday I talked about MATIC and you asked me about my technical analysis. I haven't actually done technical analysis in a while. As you can see, today we do have the market quite down again. I mean, not really much different from yesterday. Yesterday was the bigger drop, and this is when I decided to post my video about coins that I'm looking to accumulate. In fact, I didn't talk about Solana. Solana is another token that I'm trying to accumulate as well, especially if it goes to 20, around $20. I would want to scoop some more. I already scooped some at this drop yesterday. Today I'm up 0.26%, so not much of a difference, of course, in one day. We're not really looking here at the short term, we're looking at the longer term. So of course the daily changes and the hourly changes and all of these fluctuations don't really bother us. Even the weekly changes doesn't really matter that much. I will be looking at the daily and the weekly chart of Bitcoin, because this is how we're looking longer term. But I'm not even going in the 4-hour chart or any of the shorter term, because that doesn't really interest me. So without further ado, let's jump into the charts after the intro. All right, well, let's start first with the daily. And on the daily, what I'm seeing here is that we are actually coming here for a retest, or a test actually, of this support, because this used to be our resistance trend line here. As we broke out of this resistance, we haven't actually tested this as a support. I mean, typically when we break out of a trend line, we flip it from, resistance into support, or on the way down we can flip it from support into resistance. So right now we are actually coming here to test it, and this is something that we do all the time. This is a falling wedge pattern that we were forming. We broke out of this wedge pattern. This was the most likely scenario anyway, and now we are coming here for a test. If this support holds us, we're going to bounce up from here, and we're going to continue our uptrend, because we are still in an uptrend, guys. I mean, as you can see, even with this low currently here, we are making a higher low than the previous one and then the previous one. Prior to that, we had a higher high than the previous one and the previous one. So these are higher highs and higher lows, indicating an uptrend. Now, you can say that during this micro uptrend here, we are currently at support level, and that breaking below this is going to be detrimental for us, because it's going to break the trend. However, this is here in the micro. Maybe if we go on the 4-hour chart, this is going to be valid for us, because we are talking here short term. But I'm not really interested here in this short term. I'm looking at the bigger picture. So on the daily, what I'm seeing here is a test of this support. We don't actually have to come and touch this line, but coming down close to it and bouncing from here is a bullish sign. And currently, if we have to go to the line, we have to drop to 26,600 or mid 26,000 range. So even if we see a drop to the higher 26,000 or middle 26,000 range, this is going to be still that same move. That is not yet a bearish move. This is a corrective move. I'm not seeing here an impulsive move on the downside. This is just a corrective move to me. And currently, we are in fact at support levels. The 200 moving average is this purple line here. It's acting as a support. In fact, even our 50th moving average, the orange line, is our support currently, because as we broke down from it, it was just a wick of a candle. As you can see, it was just a minor breakdown, and very quickly we got bought up and we rose above this 50th moving average. Now, losing the 50th moving average on the daily is going to be bad, because this is typically an indication that perhaps we have a trend reversal. However, as I said, we are actually aiming at this support line here. So even a break from this 50th moving average, if it's just for a couple of days, it's not yet doom and gloom. It's not really a signal that we are turning the trend just yet. However, breaking this trend line is going to indicate that we are turning the trend and that we are going now in a downtrend. So we really have to watch out for this trend line. If we break this trend line, we will go yet again into this zone here of this falling wedge, and we can continue going within the parameters of this falling wedge for some time. until we break down from it. A breakdown from this falling wedge is definitely going to indicate a downwards trend, but this would happen if we come down to 24,000, mid 24,000s. So we don't really want to be seeing a breakdown from this falling wedge. However, if we are to see something like that, let's quickly identify some key support zones. Well, first we have a support here which is at 25,700. Below that we have this support here, which is another golden Fibonacci ratio. This is at 24,900, and below that we don't really have a strong support up until 22,600, right? So these are the three support zone levels that we have to watch out closely if we are to start breaking below this trend line here. But for the time being, we actually have our support from this trend line. Before that, based on Fibonacci levels, we even have the 26,700 as a support, and to me it looks most likely like we're going to come here, test this support zone and bounce from here. But as I said, this trend line is the actual support line, so even if we break below this line here, I'm still not going to be worried. I'm only going to get worried once we break below this trend line, we fall back into the wedge, and then I'm gonna see how do we respond. For the time being, this is a corrective move that is coming to test support levels here around this zone, and what I'm expecting is that we find the support here, we bounce on the upside, and we continue our bullish trend on the upside, and then challenging the 28,000, the 29,000, the 30,000. I mean, these are all levels here that we failed previously. 28 and 29,000 is definitely a strong resistance for the time being. If we manage to overcome this resistance, then we have the previous resistance that we also failed, and this one is at 30,000. So this is really the direction so far that we are following. Also, another thing that I want to point out is that we are growing in dominance. Bitcoin's dominance is actually on the way up, even though we see here a slight drop in the last couple of days, but you can see here, look at that. This is a very steady climb all the way from August. We have been on this climb on the upside, and I did talk about this in my previous videos. This is why I still have this charted here, this drawing. Let's go on the weekly so we can see it in a slightly higher time frame. This is what I was drawing back in June or July. I think it was back in July when I was drawing this, or end of June. And I was expecting here that we're going to drop a little bit, you know, have a little bit of a pullback correction and then continue on the upside. And this is exactly what we are doing, because we printed this triple bottom pattern, which is quite bullish. So of course, it was the most obvious thing to expect that we're going up. But of course, as we hit here a resistance, and this 200 moving average is acting as a resistance, as we hit that resistance, we had a minor pullback. And I was expecting that this pullback is going to be short-lived, and after that we're going to continue upside move, which is exactly what we are doing right now. But I feel that we're not going to be going much higher. Yes, we can go a little bit higher than that, we can go to 53%, but I'm expecting that soon we're going to start correcting and perhaps consolidating sideways, maybe even go through another correction where we drop down to these moving averages, you know, a nice pullback that will actually going to open a little bit of room for the outs to thrive. So as the volume is dropping, most likely we are not going to be going much higher than this. This is pretty much the resistance that we are meeting here, and most likely from here we're going to have another drop, another pullback. Now let's move on to Ethereum. By the way, before I jump into Ethereum, I want to remind you about the Vega token airdrop. Today is the last day to join the voting challenge on Bybit. If you remember in my previous episode from a few days ago, I talked about this. It's a listing contest, and if the Vega project wins, their token will be listed on Bybit. We need to help them win, so any votes will help. Make sure you get your Bybit account sorted in time and that you have some stable coins at your disposal so you can lock in your votes. Voting begins tomorrow, so you have until the end of today to register and get things prepared. If you missed my episode where I talked about this, here are the key points. Vega is a decentralized exchange platform, but It's not just another DEX. It is a groundbreaking platform that combines the best features of centralized exchanges with the trust and transparency of decentralized platforms. In other words, Vega is an order book DEX offering competitive leverage and trading fees without hidden costs like gas fees. Trading on Vega settles in industry standard ERC20 tokens such as USD Tether thanks to Vega's single-step bridging to and from the Ethereum mainnet. Traders on Vega benefit from high capital efficiency due to low margin requirements and also cross-margining and the promise of future portfolio margining for related markets. This means more flexibility and less capital tied up in trading positions. In the near future, Vega plans to introduce hybrid liquidity too, allowing for a mix of Uniswap-style liquidity pools and order book-based trading on all markets simultaneously. Their native token is Vega. It is an ERC20 token on the Ethereum mainnet. It plays a crucial role securing Vega's proof-of-stake network, and unlike some other layer 1 blockchains and decentralized derivative exchanges, this token is not used to transact on the network, and trading does not incur gas fees. Trading fees are only incurred by price takers, incentivizing more liquidity and market making. It is a really cool project with very strong fundamentals, which I like. And like many of the tokens that I already featured here on this channel this year, we did see great returns thanks to this, plus we got free tokens in the process. This is the Bybit listing challenge that I'm talking about here on the page. It's called ByVote program, and it's a community voting program where Bybit users vote for which tokens they want to see listed for spot trading. And then, of course, there is a prize pool, as you can see, $200,000 payable in Vega tokens. So this is how you can actually get some of these tokens for free. And this is how it works. This is the page with the announcement. I'm going to have the link in the description below. So you go through this page. Everything is described here step by step, but I'm going to summarize it. You will first have to register for Bybit account if you don't have one yet. Use the link that I provided below. Also make sure to have completed your KYC, because only verified accounts are allowed to vote. This way they can avoid having duplicate votes, you see. Also, you need to make sure that you have some of these coins here available in your account, because you need to have at your disposal a certain amount of stable coins. Don't worry though, you don't have to lock this. You don't need to lock these assets in order to vote. Your assets will remain in your custody throughout the voting process. The voting process is quite straightforward as it is explained here. So you will just hold these coins, in any of these coins, by the way. You don't need to have all of them. USD Tether being the most popular one, but you also have USDC, BUSD, CUSD, USDD, which I've never used this one, or DAI. So all of these different stable coins, you can have any of them. The minimum amount is $100. But of course, the more you have, the better, because that means you will be able to cast more votes. And then you need to have this deposited. They'll have to stay deposited in your account for 7 days. So in terms of a lock, you can probably count this as some sort of a lock-in, but you're not really sending your coins anywhere. They just stay in your account, which is what I like, which is why I encourage you to vote for these things on Bybit, because you win, free coins. The snapshot is going to be taken at midnight Universal Time Standard tonight, so you still have time. Voting opens at 3 a.m. Universal Time Standard tomorrow on the 12th of October. Then voting closes at 3 a.m. Universal Time Standard on the 13th of October, so it's a 24-hour window for the voting. So basically what you need to do is you need to have your stable coins deposited in your account before this snapshot is being taken. That's really what you need to do. Then, of course, the number of votes that you have will be proportional to the assets that you have in your account. This is why I'm saying that if you have more than $100, it will be better, because, the more you have, the more votes you will be able to cast. Then you will be completing these forms here. For new Bybit users, you are completing this form. Then for the 10K votes campaign, you are completing this form. It's 3 campaigns basically. First, you have the All Bybit Users Campaign with $100,000 prize pool. Then you have the new Bybit Users Campaign. That's $80,000 in the prize pool in there. And then you have 10K votes campaign, which is for those who are able, who've got enough capital in their accounts to actually cast cast 10,000 votes. For this, it's $20,000 that is in the prize pool, and you will be earning $1,000 for yourself if you are one of the first 20 people to cast this 10,000 votes. So this is a very good $1,000 airdrop easily. Then you can see here the detailed event rules. This is basically where it's explained for each campaign what you're able to do, what you're not able to do, what are the best practices and everything, what you need to follow. This is step by step here. And that's it. I really hope that we get this token listed, because I'm actually very excited about this project. I like it and I really want to see them succeed. So far, we've been very successful with all of the campaigns that I was running here on Crypto Corner. So thank you guys. Now let's move on to Ethereum. All right, well, this is the daily chart of Ethereum. It's what I'm seeing here. The first thing that I noticed is that the stochastic RSI is in the oversold region. Now, this is definitely a good time to buy, to jump in. This is, for me, this is indicating, a bullish momentum that is starting from this point on, because as you see, every time we come down to this level, we actually bounce up. So now that we are here at support levels, and we are indeed at support level. This is a level that we already came to that level earlier, and we've done it in the past as well. So this is now a level that we are visiting for the third time here in the short term. But of course, before that, we have been at that level, and this level used to be a support at some point. Very briefly, we broke from that support, and this was back in March, but that was brief, and then after that we jumped yet again. So we are coming here to crucial support, and from this support, the most likely scenario is that we bounce on the upside. Right now, we really have to watch out. How do we respond to this support level? Is the support going to hold us? If the support is holding, which currently it is doing, if the support is holding, then of course we're going to bounce up from here. But this is really tied to Bitcoin, because if Bitcoin continues going downwards, and I just showed you that Bitcoin has the potential to go a little bit lower, then most likely we are not going to just enter this level. We could actually break below it. And this is what we have to monitor right now, because if you're looking to jump into this trade, you might want to scoop it slightly lower. And I don't really expect it to go much lower than that, but it could be just a little bit lower, just a little bit, enough to actually give you a slightly better entry point. But to me, it is very likely that this is the support that is going to hold us from here, and that we're not really going to break down below it. And if this is the case, then we can expect upwards price action from this point on. All right, next one is MATIC. Yesterday I talked about MATIC, so you were asking me to do, a few of you asked me to do technical analysis on MATIC. So let's take a look. This is the weekly here, and I'm starting with the weekly because with MATIC, I'm really just interested in the long term. And so far, we are actually holding here this support that we have printed, and this is still a higher low than the previous one. We did have a higher high than the previous ones. A break below this trend line is going to indicate a turning of this trend. And as you see, in the short term, we are printing lower highs and lower lows. So we are in a downtrend in the short term. Are we going to break this trend line and start a long-term downtrend as well? This is really the question right now. This is a key question here. It's very important to see how do we respond. I will not be making a trade. I'm not going to be taking a position as of right now. I would actually wait, because we do have here increase in selling volume as the price is going down. And this is actually a bearish signal. So I'm personally right now not ready to be jumping in. I've already, I've got my stash of MATIC that I'm keeping longer term. But if I'm to accumulate MATIC from this point on, I will be waiting, because if we actually break this trend line, then we can see MATIC go lower, much lower. Let's just see how far can we expect. Well, we do have a first support here, and it is at this Fibonacci level. This is a golden pocket here. So at this Fibonacci level, we can expect to find the support. But if we don't find the support here, but this is in the longer term, right? So this is not something that we can expect to happen overnight or in a week or anything like that. This is on the weekly, so we're going to have quite a few weeks in order to get to this support. And if we go in the shorter term, this is the daily, even though it's not really short term. But what I'm seeing here, again, stochastic RSI, as of right now, is entering the oversold region. Not quite there yet, but very close to it. So as we enter here the oversold region, and as we go a little bit lower over the next few days, I'm expecting a bounce from here. So even a break of this trend line, we are currently attempting to break this trend line, but we could break it very briefly and climb back up above it, because this could be just a liquidity grab. Many people are seeing this all over the charts. All different coins are having this kind of fake outs, basically a break from a trend line that is only lasting for a couple of days, sometimes even less, and then we continue in the same range as before. So at the first moment of a breakout from this trend line, I'm not going to freak out. I'm only going to start freaking out if we break this trend line, and at least for a couple of days we are actually confirming this breakdown and we start going even lower down. And lower down, we do actually have another couple of support zones before this one here. Now these are not going to be based on Fibonacci levels, but just on previous price action. We do have this support zone here at 43 cents, is it? Yes, 43 cents. And before that, we do have yet another support. This is below our Fibonacci support, which is at 31 cents. These are really the support zones on the way down, but I do feel, guys, that we are currently at a very strong support here. I will be very surprised if we break below this trend line and if we go for the lower support zones, but it is a possibility. Alright guys, well, this is everything for today's episode. Thanks for staying until the end of the video. I hope it's helpful, and if it does, show your support, leave a like. Make sure that you leave a comment if you have any questions or any suggestions for topics that you want me to cover. Make sure that you check out the links in the description below, where I drop the links to this Bybit listing contest where you can win these Vega tokens for free. So of course it's a no-brainer. Like all of the other contests that I previously posted here on this channel, this is also bound to be a successful one. I'm pretty sure about it. So make sure that you cast your votes in time and you scoop some of these free tokens. Also make sure to check out the other links that I dropped in the description below, where I leave all of the services that I'm personally using. I also dropped links to my free content, free ebooks and tools that I'm using. Pretty much everything that I'm actually using is listed in there in different links and everything. So make sure that you go and check them out. And also, while you're here, just pick another one of my videos and I'm gonna see you in the next one.